I'd like to welcome everybody to Clergy Talk Podcast. The world wants to know. On this episode, I have a writer who happens to be my niece, and her name is Carrie Tooks, and I'm going to turn the floor over to her and let her introduce herself to us. Go ahead, Carrie.
Hi, my name is Carrie Tooks. I I have actually been writing since I was a little girl. I've always been interested in writing poetry, stories, you name it. Anything I could write about, I would write about. When I was in middle school, they published a lot of my poems when I
Wow.
was younger. They kept a book, and most of my poetry was in it.
Mm.
Um, I just, it's just a passion. I have a passion for kids. I was in between what I wanted to do with kids. I actually went to school to be an educator, but a preschool educator.
Okay.
But then I felt that wasn't the direction I was wanting to go in, and so I just figured I like to write. And so I just thought, put them together, write for children. And
Okay.
so I started writing books for children.
Okay. So, how many books have you written so far?
Well, to be honest, I've probably written, I think I have maybe 8 or 9, but I've
Wow.
only published 2 thus far.
Oh.
This last one that I wrote, God Don't Do Ugly, it's called the Animal Kingdom series. So I have actually 2 more that I've already written that I'm going to have published soon.
Okay. Okay. So, do you have someone edit your books and all that stuff?
Well, actually, I'm doing self-publishing with my first book that I wrote, which is called The Responsible One. It's basically a story about my boys. I have 5 boys and
Mm-hmm.
well, 6 boys, and I wrote a story about them. And actually, I have like 2 stories within that series that also needs to be published. But I tried several times to get my books published the regular way,
Mm-hmm.
and I would always get send it back next year. We only do 2 or 3 new authors.
Mm.
So I sat on my books, sat on my books, and sat on my books. And I just said, you know what? There's always more than one way to get something out. So
Okay.
I decided to self-publish. And although it is expensive, it is just seeing your book come alive, it's worth it.
Wow. So, how long does it take you to write one book?
Well, it depends on, like with the kingdom, the animal kingdom, God's animal kingdom, I would just sit down and I would write one book, and it just flows. For children, it really doesn't take long to write a children's book.
Hmm.
You just have to have that mindset of what you think that they want to hear.
Okay.
And so sometimes I can sit down and I can write. And then there's times where I'm asleep and God will wake me up in the middle of the morning and I am writing. So
Wow.
it just always depends on
Wow.
when you're moved.
Okay. Okay. So, what is the theme of the Animal Kingdom book? God Don't Do Ugly, right?
Yes, that story is about a pig that doesn't like the way he looks. He think
Mm.
God made a mistake and that he's not supposed to look like this. And so he has a friend that actually thinks that he's gorgeous. He looks good. He's exactly what God meant for him to be. And so he just shows him that God made us the way that we're supposed to be and why we're supposed to be the way that we are. So he ends up understanding and starts really liking the way he looks.
Okay. So, basically, it's a book to help someone deal, a young person or a child, deal with their self esteem, right?
Correct. And to bring God in, I feel like they've taken God out of so many things.
Yeah. True.
So I thought, kids love to read, and I thought this would be a good way to not only build their self-esteem, but to get them to, introduce them to God if they don't have that, in their lives.
Okay. Now, you said you had 2 books in the Animal Kingdom series. What's the other
Yes.
one called?
The other one is I have abilities. I have abilities just like you.
That's a good topic.
And I have another one, and I'm sorry, just I'm gonna be honest. I wrote this series probably about 8 or 9 years ago.
Wow.
So I can't remember exactly the titles, but yes, all three books were written about eight years ago.
Okay, are they currently on Amazon? Where are they at?
Well, the responsible one is on Amazon, and it has been there for 4 years.
Okay.
And then God Don't Do Ugly has been there since December.
Okay, so that's your newest book, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. So what are your plans? What's your next project? Just to get the rest of your books out, or do you have another story floating around it up there?
I actually want to get out all the stories that I've already written. I also have a series for the younger kids, like 1, 2, 3. I can do this, just different things. It's not God based, but it's teaching them their ABCs. It's letting them know that, or showing them that this is the next step to life. I start school. I learned how to brush my teeth. It's just a series. So I want to get those out and finish the animal kingdom, getting that out. And I'm sure I'll continue writing stories on the animal kingdom because I really enjoy those stories. So that will be my direction, is to finish the animal kingdom.
So are you influenced a lot by, your experience being a mother, raising your children, watching them develop, looking at their issues? Does that influence you a lot?
With the responsible series, yes, that book is based on my kids, and
Right,
yes,
right.
it's strictly from how they have been raised, what the things that they've done throughout their years, funny things, developmental things, just basically life for them. Yes.
Okay.
The animal kingdom, it's just I just want to get got back in and
Right,
kids
right,
back
right,
to reading.
right. So how do they respond knowing that mom wrote a book about them?
They were excited when they saw it.
Oh, wow.
They continue to ask me, Mom, when you going to finish? Because I wrote one that is called Mason Our Dog. No, made 5 boys and a dog. Series is what it actually is. The responsible, and then their dog Mason is basically the things that they went through with their dog, because drama with their dog. So I wrote a story about that, and that story is probably about 12 years old.
Okay. Okay.
So I've written quite a bit.
So take us to the steps of how a person gets a book self-published, because I'm sure I'm gonna have some authors listening to this are wondering, how do I get a book self-published? Take us through those steps.
Okay, so well, first of all, with the children's books, you have to have them illustrated. So that was my first step, is trying to find an illustrator that was reasonable, and I really liked his work.
Okay.
So fortunately, I did find a publisher, a real estate. It's just one organization. It's called I can't think Mott's. I can't think of the name, but anywho, is he actually does the illustrations. You go through the steps, you find what type of illustrations you want your book to look like.
Okay.
He does the illustrations, and then he asks you if you want a package deal. The package deal consists of actually getting your book published and getting it on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So that's a full package, and I always go with the full package. He did my first book, The Responsible One, and he did this one, God Don't Do Ugly. And I will continue with him because I like his work. And it's just was simple, easy process. It actually took, for the whole project, it took maybe a month.
Wow, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, and you pay as you go along. He'll send you copies to make sure that that's a rough draft, to make sure that's what you want. And it's just a really great process. And I made the mistake of waiting so long to get my book published. And now that I got it published, I'm so anxious to get the next one published.
Okay, so what will be the next book you publish?
The next book I publish is I have abilities just like you.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. I think that's going to be very, very helpful because in this time and age, so many of our youth are struggling with self-esteem issues, and the internet wants everybody to look like a perfect, beautiful person with no flaws, and all the guys got to be muscular with a muscular Tarzan physique, and we're holding, our children are holding themselves up to these high standards that are just impossible for some people to meet, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not worth anything.
Right.
And like you said, they got abilities just like you. So everybody can't be a basketball genius or a football star. Some people happen to be math wizards.
That's why I chose to use animals instead of people, because I feel like kids, for some reason, can relate to animals. They love dogs.
I relate to animals,
cats, and so they're not comparing themselves. They know they don't look like a tiger. They know they don't, but they can actually listen to the story and hear the story versus looking at the picture thinking, well, she's this color, she's that. It takes their mind totally away from the actual person. So I chose to use animals. I thought that will capture them more than just having people.
Well, there's a reason why the Lion King and Winnie the Pooh does so well.
Right.
Exactly. Absolutely. So what advice would you give an author, a struggling author, somebody just don't know what direction to go? What advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, listen to what you want to write and put everything into it. You're not going to please everybody. You have to please yourself. Know who your target audience is going to be, and just write for them. If you're a children's author, then write to that child that you used to be. Write to that person that you knew what you wanted to hear. And because kids, all they want to do is read. They want to listen to stories. They like pictures. They like color. So just be true to yourself.
Okay.
And then just step out on faith. For a long time, I held those books. They sat up under my bed for a long time. And I had a friend that just said, Carrie, what are you doing? You write really well. Why are you sitting on your gift? And my excuse was, well, nobody is publishing my book. Well, as these self-publishing authors or these self-publishing companies are actually what's standing out now. Majority of people are self-publishing now because major publishing companies, they don't want to take the risk of, helping first-time authors. So they're just with the same authors that they have been with. But that can't be your excuse. You have to push forward. And that's what I did. I just pushed forward. And I'm be honest, I'm happy. This book is just really doing well, and I'm just excited. So I will never go back to just waiting. There's no such thing as waiting.
So how did you handle rejection when you first sent the book out and the publishing company said, well,
I was just excited that they responded, because a lot of times they don't respond, and I got response back. So I was excited. Now I'm a little upset with myself because, most of the time they just say, we're not interested in this type of book or, but they actually said to resubmit. And I did not resubmit. I forgot because, that's a whole year that you're waiting that you got to remember. And then had I been just really into my gift, then I would have sent it. But at the time, I guess it just, there's a time for everything. There's a season for everything. And I guess I was not in my season then.
True. So. That makes a lot of sense. Very biblical. So have you ever thought about maybe take it up a couple of notch and write for teenagers and early 20s? Have you ever considered that?
Oh yeah, I've written. I've like I said, I just do all kinds of writing. I have
Okay.
several poetries. I do quotes. Yeah, it has been a consideration. I've even thought about doing. I know. What is it? Is oh, I can't think of the name of the. Not Avon. I can't. Well, there's a organization out there that are looking for writers, romance.
Mm.
I thought about that. Um, but like I said, it's in time. I'm just pushed right now. I'm so into like I can sit down, like I was saying before, I can sit down and I can write a children's book in no time. So I feel that right now the season for me is for children,
Okay.
and it may progress to something else. You just never know. I mean, when you're doing something that's within your gift, it comes to you at any time. So you
Okay.
really don't know. I won't say no, and I can't really say yes. So
Okay.
it's in time.
Okay. So how many pages does a book have to be published? Is it a certain limit, or how
No,
does that work?
it's the I do believe it's the price range that goes up with the pages.
Oh, okay.
But your book is what it is. You know, they're not going to tell you, okay, this is too many pages. They just move to another realm of what price range it's going to go into.
Okay.
Well, that's my experience. Um, I think you just write and you put your words out there, and it is as long and as short as you make it.
Okay. Okay. So let's go back to when you were young, when you wrote that first poem or first story. Did and you said it was well accepted, which is great, which is, God's way of saying, okay, you got a gift and you got support. Did that really motivate you? And in what sense, how did it motivate you?
To be honest, I was so young, I was just writing. I didn't have a clue that, this is a business, that this will progress to something different. I just wrote. It was
Mm,
just something that I had a passion for, was to put my words out on paper. And that's what I did. I never looked to uh, move forward with it. I was young. And so
okay.
I just never knew that it could be more than what it was.
Right. So was there ever a teacher in your life that said, hey, Carrie, you got a gift?
All the time. They always told me, "Oh, girl, did you write this yourself?" Because I just write poetry. Yes, it was, rhymeful poetry, but it was poetry, and it was just whatever that was on my mind. I put it on paper, and
Wow.
yes, they
Wow.
were very excited, and I just didn't understand it. I'm like, okay, it's just words. What's so exciting about that? Because
Mm,
I didn't see it as being anything except, me spilling out my brain on paper. That's
right,
all I thought
right,
it
right,
was.
right.
Yeah.
I guess you don't have any poetry on hand to read to us, do you?
I do not, but I may remember one. It's called Grown into a Strong Black Woman.
Oh, okay.
Um,
All right.
Let me see if I can remember it right offhand. They say I want progress because I'm black. I say they'll say anything to hold me back. Their statistics don't complete my worth. My heavenly father laid it down at birth. Strong black woman you will grow to be. That's what he gave and promised me. They're wasting their time with all that negativity. I have strength that will last for eternity. Power that will blow their minds. Gusto that will kick their ignorant behinds. Dreams that will no doubt reach the sky. Determination Mount Everest high. Spirituality from the promised land, and the world in the palm of my hands. So get out the way. There's a strong, strong black woman maturing today.
Wow. That's deep.
Thank you.
I can't even remember half the songs I wrote. I might give you a couple of verses and I'm done.
I always have to close my eyes because sometimes I don't remember it. I just shut out everything and it just comes out. So
Wow, that's powerful. That's very, very powerful. A lot of truth in that poem too. A lot of truth in it.
I actually wrote that was mentoring a young girl, and she was just really, she said she just always kept saying that she wasn't going to amount to much, statistics this, statistics that, and I sat at my desk at work and just wrote that poem. I probably wrote that poem in about 20 minutes.
Wow. Wow. So sometimes I guess like songwriters, writers get motivated by things they see.
Correct.
And once that spark is united, you kind of like,
yeah, it just flows. It just flows.
Yeah. Wow. So do you have your poetry books published yet? You need to publish your poetry books.
I have not, and I need to go back, because when you write, you just write on anything and everything that's around, because like I said, you just don't know when you're going to get that burst of, just wanting to write your lyrics. Or as a writer, as a lyricist, he never knows when he's going to write. He just writes, or she. And it's just the same way with writing. So it's whatever's around, you just pick up and you write on it. So I just have paper, journals. I have a bookcase just full of journals.
Wow.
And so, I have to go through them and find out, or just, write them all down, get them all down. And then I will go that method of publishing. When you publish poetry, you actually have to have a certain amount.
Okay.
And so I also write quotes. So, I'll add that into the poetry book too. So once I get enough, I will publish. And then there's a young lady that I work with. She was talking about it as well. And we may, get together and publish together.
Okay. So do you have a page, a writer's page, or author's page, Facebook page, any of that good stuff?
I do not. I do not. I when it comes to social media, when it comes to anything like that, I'm just illiterate. I don't know how to do any of that. So it's, I am going to start looking into that. My son's, one that sings, he's a lyricist, and he's talking about he'll help me get that together. And then I have other friends that going to help me get that together. So it's been a learning experience.
Right.
And like I said, it comes with seasons, and I believe this is my season. So
right.
I'm sure that those things will start going up quickly.
Well, I got about 10 groups, a couple of 20,000 Facebook pages.
Well, maybe I'm talking to the right person.
Right. So you need a Facebook page to just so people can know where to get and access all your books at, and that'll lead them to Amazon and stuff, because after we put this episode out, they're going to start running you down in a minute.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, you never know. I never know how my episodes take off, but I always tell my guests, help promote the episode because it helps promote you,
Okay.
As well. So anything else you would like to add or like to share, or something you think you need to cover?
No, except that now that you opened up that realm, I do need and will need your help to get me up and running in social media, or however, because like I said, I'm illiterate when it comes to that. All I know is just to write what I feel, but I don't know how to get it out there.
Right. So definitely send me some links to where your books. So I think I took one of your links and published it in an authors group. The last time I saw you publish a link, I think about a couple of months ago, you published a book,
yes.
a link on
Actually, December. It was probably December 1st. That's when the book went out.
Yeah. So I think I remember took that link and I published it in a authors group, because you should join some of the author groups online, writers and authors and stuff, and join those groups, post your links in there as well. And of course, this is going to be on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I post my episodes everywhere.
Well, see,
and
God puts you together with
and like I said, you never know how something's going to take off. Sometimes it takes a while, and you start getting views, you start getting hits, and then once people start taking a look at it, they're going to want to know, well, how can I learn more about this guest that was on Clergy Talk, and how can I, contact the person? They may want to contact you about something or whatever, or how do I learn more about this author? So that's always going to happen after I publish, an episode.
Okay.
Okay. With that being said, I ask all my guests a couple of questions, the same two questions. What's your favorite book of the Bible? Number one.
Why you put me on the spot?
Uh-oh. I put everybody on the spot.
I'll be honest, I don't know.
Well, that's okay because it's a trick question. You're supposed to sound like all the Bible.
I know, that's what I'm saying. How do you
That's a trick question.
Well, good, because I failed.
a lot of my guests respond the same way, like, what? But that's okay. But my last question is, what advice would you give my listeners right now about the topic we just covered?
My advice would to be not sit on your gifts. Your gifts are your gifts for a reason. I think a lot of times we are scared to step out on faith.
Right.
But your gifts, they were given to you for a reason. So you were already meant to do it. So do it. And the longer you wait, the longer that you're waiting to be successful. So it's meant for you to get your gifts out there. And, I never worried about how much money I could make because that's never been an issue.
Right.
I just love writing, and I want children to see my writing.
Okay.
And when you do something that you love to do, everything else falls in place.
Okay. That's actually real good advice. That's great advice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Carrie, thank you for appearing on Clergy Talk Podcast. This has been a wonderful episode. I was excited to hear about your gift in writing and how you came about it and what you're doing with that. Really enlightened me on a lot of stuff because, one of my teachers told me that I had the gift of writing, but I ended up chasing after music instead of writing a book. So I got a book I've been working on for the last 300 years. So.
Well, welcome to the club.
Exactly.
Get out there.
Yep. With that being said, I want to wish you, your family, our family, a very wonderful, blessed 2022. And thank you for being a guest on Clergy Talk Podcast. And I'm going to send you some emails on how to get more active on social media.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.